11 and a half things that are a complete waste of your money for small businesses and brands. Starting with expensive logos. I have a friend who told me last summer that she wanted to start a business. I just met her for coffee recently, and she is still deciding on a name for her business and working with an agency to develop a fancy logo. She has not sold a single product, but already spent hundreds on developing this logo. And I know there is at least one person watching who needs to hear this. You don't need an expensive logo as a small business or brand because you can improve it over time. In fact, even major brands revamp their logo once every 7 years on average. Improving your logo over time is a perfectly normal practice, and in fact, it helps you stay relevant. Does that mean that logos are completely unimportant? Of course not. You just need a good enough logo which meets 3 requirements. A simple, uncluttered design, because then consumers are 64% more likely to recommend it. A good color, because this one ingredient can increase consumer recognition by up to 80%, and optimized for mobile and print, so you can use it across mediums and platforms. Number 2, launching too many product variants too soon. Years ago, when I started my first product-based business, which was a print-on-demand pet portraits brand, I made the mistake of starting with launching too many variants. Customers could choose between different kind of art styles and also different kind of frames, like the type of wood, color, and size. This created a supply chain problem for me because I either had to pay a lot of money upfront to stock up on these different variants of the frames, or I had to ask the supplier to make each frame as the order came in, which added not only extra cost because I was ordering one frame at a time, but also an extra week in delivery time. Total waste of money. In hindsight, we should have started with just one variant, something classic like a white medium frame in oak wood, and use that to get steady revenue first, and only then reinvest from the existing revenue to launch any new variants. Next, paying marketing agencies without understanding your goals. Every single brand manager and business owner I know has been burned by a marketing agency at some point. The problem is that you pay agencies for 2 things: their service fees, which they get regardless of performance, and then the actual budget for them to spend on Google search ads or meta ads. Unless you know someone personally who has already worked with an agency and had a good experience, there's no real way for you to know how good they are at the things that they claim to be good at. A bad agency will not only charge you their due service fees, but also waste your ad budget money, and you'll be left wondering where all your money went. If you're a small brand or business, here's what I think you should do instead. Set up a Google account or a Meta or TikTok business account for your business. Start learning what the meaning is of the different metrics on these platforms. Then set up a small budget of, let's say, $5 a day and start experimenting with ads. You want to make sure that there's a clear goal and a clear call to action in all of your ads, so you can start learning what's working and what's not. Just do this for 2 months, and I think you'll be much better off because you will get to see how these platforms work and what the different metrics are yourself. And then if you decide to work with an agency even later on, you will be much better educated and you'll be able to understand what's being delivered and what's not. Next, sponsoring events to get exposure. I have gone from having major FOMO and attending every single event ever to now barely any. The way I justified paying to be at these events was I was getting to showcase my products to potential customers who were already interested in that product type. For example, pet owners at a pet industry event for my pet portraits brand. I was getting their feedback in real time, and I was getting to mingle with other business owners in my industry. I learned the hard way that none of these actually sell products. Just because someone saw you at an event does not mean that your product is good or worth purchasing. Most people who come up to you are going to be nice or fake nice because they're there to have a good time and not to give you feedback or to be rude. Finally, other business owners are there to do their own thing and don't really care about your business. On top of all this, most products aren't experiential enough to warrant a physical presence. You're much better off investing that money in the brand's online presence instead and reaching a lot more potential customers at scale. Before we move on, on, there's one category that I have never regretted spending money on, and that is all the tools and softwares that I use to run my business. That's why I'm really excited to partner with Monday.com for this portion of the video. When your main priority is scaling your brand from 1 to 100, you need a solid, easy software to communicate with your team, track progress, and daily tasks that move the company forward. Relying too much on spreadsheets alone can keep your team working in silo and make everything harder to execute. So Monday.com is great for collaborating with your team. It's an all-in-one workspace where you can assign tasks, set deadlines, and track everything in one place. Also, for managing a brand, I really appreciate Monday's Kanban boards, Gantt charts, and calendar views. So you can easily switch between different views and be able to see your project from different angles to be able to stay on top of everything. It's like having different lenses to focus on different aspects of your work, making it easier to manage complex projects. You can also add as many pre-built or custom automations within these boards, which ends up saving so much time and effort. As a viewer of this channel, you can try Monday.com for free. I recommend giving it a go and seeing for yourself how easy it makes everything. I'll leave a link below. Moving on, number 5 is furniture and tech. In an interview about Google's early days, Eric Schmidt said, "Whenever I go into a startup that has beautiful offices and really nice chairs, I cringe. The great founders are frugal, and they understand that the money needs to be used precisely for certain areas. There is no reason to be buying new furniture, laptops, phones, printers before your brand is turning over consistent profits. And even if it is, I think it's much smarter to reinvest that money into the company's growth instead. Instead of like spending on furniture and tech that becomes old every year and makes no difference to actual sales. You can find great deals on places like Facebook Marketplace and so many other websites. You know what they say, buying an expensive oven won't make you a better baker." Damn! Number 6, PR. Businesses under $10 million in annual revenue should not be paying to be featured in articles or hiring PR agencies. This is a completely vanity-driven expense that has no impact on growth or profitability. There's no clear call to action. The media landscape is so big that your target customers probably don't even read most of these publications. And even if they did, there's no way to track conversion. Instead of trying to engineer a good reputation, you should just focus on earning it by building good products. And if you think that you are in the 1% of businesses that have a very interesting story or a very high novelty value, then you should make a press kit and just email it to 20 to 30 relevant publications. Odds are that if your story is actually so interesting that it can generate a lot of clicks and shares, then a lot of these publications will just publish it for free, especially the ones that are online, because they're always looking for fresh content. Number 7 is bad hiring. According to the US Department of Labor, a bad hire can cost a company up to 30% of the employee's first year's salary. And this does not even account for wasted time, resources spent on training, customers lost due to the employee's mistakes, and I even had an employee steal petty cash from my business. Hiring is one of the trickiest parts of running a business or brand precisely because of how expensive it is to replace bad hires. In my experience, and speaking with other managers and founders, there are generally 2 ways to hire well. First is if you know someone personally who has recommended this person, or this person has excellent referrals. And the second is to hire for personality traits over skill. In my experience, it's better to hire an A player who has 70% of a skill rather than hiring a B or C player who has 100% of the skill. I have found this to be true again and again. Players are self-starters and ambitious, and they love to learn. So I noticed that they very quickly make up for that gap in skill, and actually in just a few weeks they even surpass the level that they were initially hired for, and they're able to take the team forward way more than a B or C player would ever be able to do so. Number 8 is bad contractors. This is the external team that you work with, like contractors, service providers, and freelancers. After you've looked at their portfolio and referrals, I'm a big believer in doing paid trials. So for example, if I'm working with a graphic designer, I'll always start by commissioning just one artwork, just to see how we get on and how we communicate and how the final result is. And then, only then, if we're both happy, do we commit to a larger project. If it's good for both sides, then we continue working together. The most common reason I ever regretted working with an external contractor was because my expectations of what I'm looking for weren't clear. Since then, I now think about this a lot more. Here are some of the most common types of deliverables that you should think about. Get super clear on which category you are hiring for. The prices, KPIs, and your expectations need to be different for each category. And don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions so that you're both on the same page for the work and quality expected. Next is fancy packaging. This is another classic mistake that new founders make. They convince themselves that their packaging is their first impression of their brand, and so they spend so much time and money on getting it right. However, realistically, no customer cares about your packaging. Beautiful packaging is really expensive to make and can account for up to 20% of your total product costs. That's a lot of money to spend on something that's going to end up in someone's trash. Also, if you think you're going to use your packaging to attract new customers, think again. Acquiring new customers is 5 times more expensive than retaining current ones. 60 to 70% of your sales actually come from returning customers. And customers only return because of good products and good customer service, not because they like your packaging. So ditch the fancy ribbons and boxes and invest that money in your customer retention instead. Number 10 is professional photography. It's 2025 and new brands and businesses don't need professional photography to begin. Most products fail because they either don't meet customers' requirements or solve a real problem. So in the first phases of your brand, you should just be focused on finding the right product market fit. While you figure this out, you don't need professional photography. You can just use your phone and simple editing apps like Canva. Lo-fi and authentic content is actually very effective and relatable. So this is perfect to use while you're still figuring out what your customers even like. There are also tons of apps and websites that you can use to generate product mockups that are super cheap and easy to use. Get good at your business first and then invest in professional photography. Number 11, generic courses and digital products. I understand the allure of digital products and courses, especially when they're on sale. I've been there, I've bought them, and now they are sitting somewhere in my computer collecting digital dust because what I want changes so fast. Why? Because they don't actually serve my specific needs at that specific time. Most digital products are designed to be plug and play for a lot of people, and so they don't really solve the micro, tiny problems in your business at the exact stage that your business is in. Instead of digital products, I think digital services have a much better ROI. I would strongly suggest to stop spending on generic products and instead invest in these services that solve very specific, concentrated problems in your business. And finally, 11.5 is networking for you as the owner or manager of a business. I wanted to add this point because networking is often seen as a must-have for owners and founders, but in my experience, it's actually been mostly a waste of time and money. It can work in corporate careers, but when you're building a brand or a business, I find that you need to have some wins under your belt first, and you have to be able to give value to get value. Successful business owners are only up for meeting you if there's a strong opportunity for collaboration or they've already heard good things about you or your business. So instead of spending on coffees, meetups, and dinners, it's a much better use of your money and time to just build good products. I hope this video inspired you to not make my mistakes and stop burning cash on these vanity-driven, low-impact things and instead move back to the basics of just building a good business. You might also like this video where I talk about how to find and fix brand problems. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in my next video.